Welcome back. This is a new theory video for the new update. This is going to be a fun one. I'm just going to walk around for most of this video. Maybe go to the mirror a couple times. So, this is the new update. And like 2 days ago, the update came out. So, that's fun. Yeah. No, add to the sky barrier way closer. I at least kept one giant fan that'll just be straight up. Anyways, so yeah, the new update just came out, so that's fun. And well, it was a surprise to say the least. It was a surprise to say the least, because if you don't know, this is spoiler warning. Spoiler warning for those who don't know. So in the new update, once you get to the end of the lake map, there is the brain after you get past the server room. Well, that brain has an eye, and it's watching everything. Like, that brain, that eye is constantly watching every action that happens. Now, just a question, why? Why is it watching? Why is it doing what it's doing? That's because this brain, it's, well, watching. It's watching over everything, making sure nothing that is not supposed to happen happens. It's essentially watching it's around it to make sure no monkeys, us, do anything they're not supposed to. And here's the thing, we've actually had an organ before, too. Now, this isn't the first time we've had organs. We also had the heart. Remember the heart update all the way in Haunted Mansion? Wherever Haunted is? So yeah, after the door in Haunted Mansion, you get to the heart zone, and that's where the heart is. That is exactly where the heart is. At the heart before you go in, those red and blue wires going up? What does an actual heart do in real life? Pump blood or energy. Case in point, it's pumping blood. It's pumping blood. That's what it's doing. It's pumping just a lot of blood it's pumping blood upward. And now we never see where this goes, but we do know it goes into the Haunted Mansion. Well, what if it just goes, I don't know, to the brain? We see wires connected to that same brain that we can assume are like nerves and stuff. And think about the monsters and sewers, and in that server room, what do they look like? That's right, they kind of look like a cyst. Well, why do they have eyes? It's because cysts can grow eyeballs, and so can cancer. The theory here is that that everything here is one giant body. Everything. We have the brain, the eye. So far we have the brain, the eye, and the heart. The fact that we have those 3 key body parts. One goes over the sense of sight, a very important sense. sight. In this game, well, sight shows you things. It shows you danger. Shows you monsters. Well, what if that's what that eyeball's looking for? Danger. That's why it has so many TV screens around it. It's watching the TV screen, not anything around the TV screens. It's not watching what we're doing when we're in there. Why do you think the eye is looking around like so frantically? The eye is looking for us. That's what that eye is looking for. And so, case in point, my theory is that eye is looking for us. It's looking around at every TV to see if they find us, but it doesn't. And it keeps going around, searching, maybe thinking that it'll see us. I think it never does. It never sees us, and so what's it do? It keeps searching and looking at the CCTV footage. That's what I'm calling them, because that's probably what they're doing. He's looking at that footage in hopes that it'll find us, and well, I mean, it never does. It never finds us, so it's not suspecting that we unplug the brain. And think about it. Why would it be searching so frantically for us? And because it knows about that plug, and it knows that we're trying to unplug the brain. And so it's worried that that's exactly what we're going to do, and that is what we do. Maybe that's what it's worried about. That's why the eye is searching so frantically. But that's just a little theory inside of this bigger one. Because the body, I'm pretty sure, is dying. Like that brain. You know those flesh monsters around the office? They look very, very similar to fist monsters. And all that flesh taking over the server room. It's supposed to resemble a body. Those servers each one of those servers is a neuron to the brain, except they're not physically in the brain, they're around it everywhere, with all that flesh around it. When that flesh connects straight back to the brain. But what do you think this is? But the cyst monsters are so aggressive to us. Here's another theory. We're white blood cells in the body. We're white blood cells in the body trying to fight off whatever this is. Trying to fight off diseases. Or maybe infectious ticks. That spider looks an awful lot like a tick when you think about it. And think about it, it has just a giant mouth. And what are ticks known for? Biting on the skin, draining blood, and releasing saliva into your body. Case in point is, I think the spider is a tick, like an infectious tick. And everything is just an infection. All the monsters are infections. The monkeys, the gorillas, monkeys, whatever, are the white blood cells fighting off said infection. Why would we be able to kill these monsters? And the beginning of the update, when you first logged in, everything, the OG Animal Company map was white. Completely white. Nothing was correct. Nothing was the same. Now we're teleported here. A much more realistic world with all the things with most of the things we had before. Here's my thing though. Here's my thing. I think, why is it when we unplug the brain we see this? We are teleported to the Animal Company loading screen, and there's nothing around it. It's just Animal Company. That's what it says. But the server's in the back. Here's my thing. I think what we're seeing is the brain's imagination, and the OG Animal Company map proves that best. Because look at the textures now. Look at how confined the space is. Look at how less there is. How small just the lobby itself is. And how big everything else over there is. It's a proof point. That is our ticket. That lake map over there. Over there, the lake map over there is our ticket to figuring out everything. White blood cells that essentially went rogue, went up the system into the brain, unplugged it, and we saw the dying imagination of a diseased creature, essentially. Because again, the cyst eyes could be cancer or some infectious disease, and the monsters are always respawning. Wouldn't you think that's a bit weird how they're constantly respawning? Well, infections tend to spread from one infected cell to another and another and another and another, and it keeps going on. Here's like my theory. The monsters respawning are supposed to represent the cell, the infected blood cells spreading every time it resets. You cannot stop it. Meaning we're white and red blood cells in a dying body, a dying and that would make sense. Because the heart, what is it in? Something that kind of looks like a rib cage, and it's connected to more stuff. And the wires? And those wires, again, veins and arteries. Like, there is so much proof to this, too. And again, the original map was all, like, fake. It was just the imagination. Why do you think it changed every week? It's someone's imagination changing. The imagination of, per se, a child can change very fast. I would know, because I have child imaginations too. Yeah, but it's the imagination of a child changing over and over, presuming white, red blood cells in a very young organism has some infectious disease or like cancer or something like that. That's not good. We're trying to fight off whatever it is. We get up to the brain and unplug it. Have you ever thought about that's the brain temporarily dying? And the heart temporarily stops. They put him into CPR and bring him back to life once we're back here. After we get out of that imagination, we're seeing the dying imagination of a young creature that has the brain capacity to imagine. Therefore, it is probably true how everything was imagined, but then there's also the red blood cell thing. Red blood cells deliver blood, materials, and what do the monkeys do? They sell stuff into the selling machine. They'll drop stuff in there, and it's very, very, and like, oh, that's strange. You're like, why would that have anything to do with blood cells? We're delivering things to there that get sold. We don't know where they go. That could be energy, nutrients, and minerals for the body to keep it preserved, to preserve it a little longer, keep pushing it until it blows its final breath. Speaking of blowing a final breath, I suspect the next major update might have another organ involved in blowing that final breath. Will be the lungs. We'll find the lungs. We'll have a new crystal, because every major organ has had a crystal with it. The heart had 2 crystals, the regular crystal and the corrupt crystal. The corrupt crystal is blue, which could be like vein blood, but no, I'm thinking it could be like the corrupt crystal is like, dying matter, dying heart cells or infected heart cells. And Up there in the brain, there's a chunk of brain missing. What's there? Crystal. That's brain matter. The brain crystal, that brain crystal is brain matter. The actual brain matter of the brain. And what happens when you hold it? And when you hold it, your arm like moves up, down, left, right. It moves, it starts jerking because you're holding a piece of brain matter. If we're connected to the system, if we're holding something that is directly connected to us in a way, we're gonna start jerking out like that. Or the corrupted crystal, like when it turns us upside down and changes our movement and makes us look weird, that could be corrupting us, and then when we're like, oh, but we're fine. Essentially showing the process of an infected white blood cell or red blood cell turning into either dying, a new cell being born in its place. Like, we don't physically die when we like let go of it, but still, like, it's symbolism. And I mean, yeah, a lot of this makes sense too. But then, like, there's the tech tree. What's that? More imagination. That's why everything changed. That's why the stash logo changed. That's why map layout changes. That's why there's new items, new things. It's someone with a hyperactive imagination, constantly imagining new things every week. So, what happens? And so as you're dying and dying, slowly falling dead, we're here, still preserving them, killing monsters, and getting rid of those cyst monsters especially. And then when we go in there and unplug the brain, that's showing its temporary death, essentially. And then when it comes back to life, that's when we're out of its imagination. Like, you ever thought about that? Anyways, but that's just my theory. I'll probably make a video about the other items, like reading them and stuff. But yeah, that's all for this video.